The guy who's trying to speak to us a little bit in English tells us, hey, I have this girlfriend coming. She's super tall, really long legs, beautiful girl. We're going to go and we're going to party at a sauna. Do you guys want to come?
SAR Experience.
Всем привет and welcome back to another episode of the Vodka Podcast with me, Connor Klein. This is the SAR Experience, and I'm going to continue where I left off in the last episode of the podcast. So if you haven't listened to the previous two episodes, then maybe you want to go back and look at those as well. I'm going to put cards to them, I guess, above if you're watching this in YouTube. If you're watching it if you're listening to this on the podcast, then just go back to the previous episodes of this podcast and you'll be able to listen to them, because in the first two episodes I start the trip with my sensei, who I referred to back in Vodcast number 5 in my dating journey in Ukraine, and I'm just describing our first trip together in Eastern Europe and all the crazy things that happened and how you can learn from my experience on this trip in particular, because so much happened in the space of 12 days. I think it's really illustrative, and the reason why I'm telling these stories, making this kind of a story time, Connor's story time, once a week, is because you asked for it. I polled you guys back about 2 months ago, and you really were really enthusiastic about having this kind of format. So this is the third video of this series of stories about the first trip. So we started in Bucharest in Romania, then went to Moldova, to Chisinau, then to Belz, and I left off when we were at the border after a really arduous trip through northern Moldova by Marshutka, which is like a local bus. Actually, today I'm speaking to you from Odessa in Ukraine. I'm actually on the balcony of my Airbnb apartment here. And yeah, it's actually very derelict around me, but I find it interesting because this is just literally 20-30 meters from the main pedestrian street, Deribasovskaya, in Odessa. It's kind of like one of these traditional courtyards you see in Odessa just behind me, and none of it's been maintained, so actually rent is really, really cheap here. Even though it's got like prime location, I have a pretty badass apartment actually. It has a roof up where I'll actually probably shoot the next episode just above here and give you a look so that you see this as well. So we are at the border, and the bus driver lets us off and we have to exit Moldova. There's like a bridge across, and there's like a tiny path for pedestrians to go across, and we present our passports to Moldovan immigration. And I just had this feeling with the border guard, there's something a little bit dodgy about him. Like, he spoke to me in Russian very quickly. In Moldova, their official language is Romanian, but almost everybody also speaks Russian, so it's often used as a lingua franca. And yeah, I answered his question. He looked at me a little bit warily, surprised that I replied in Russian, and then he took my friend's passport and he looked at it, said something in Russian he didn't understand, and he said, "Oh, we have a problem with your passport." Okay, fine. I mean, for me, I didn't necessarily think anything untoward about it. 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, some other guy come and taking the passport, no sign of it coming back to resolve the problem. And I asked in Russian, the border guard, "Yeah, where's my friend's passport? What the hell is going on with it?" He's like, yeah, just wait. So my friend starts to get a little bit techie about it, and he decides to go into the office where they've disappeared with his passport. And at the time, he's carrying his big DSLR camera with him. I didn't have a vlogging camera. This is why I have to describe this 5 years later to you guys. If only it had the same vlogging setup I have today, like, would have been, well, we can't change the past. So he did have this camera, and so I'm waiting for him for like a minute or two, kind of gazing across the bridge, which is very strange. Like, we're talking like this is the border between Moldova and Ukraine, and there were these people selling potatoes on the bridge. I guess it was kind of like maybe not controlled on the bridge if you sell the potatoes there, but they were like huge bags of these black potatoes. So it's this is an odd scene. Anyways, my friend comes back maybe 5 minutes later with 2 border guards in tow, wearing kind of the shapka, Yushchenko hats, big hats like this. And what is he doing? He's posing for photos with them. So he's like snapping them on his DSLR, on his camera, on his DSLR, and he's actually posing with them as well. And one of the border guards come up to me, speaks to me in Russian, saying, "Yeah, we don't speak English, but yeah, just make sure you don't put the photos on Facebook because we might get in trouble." So whatever problem there was, apparently when he appeared with a camera and started snapping photos, they decided the problem was quickly resolved without asking for any money or anything. So that's probably a good tip for you that, yeah, if there's something going on there where they claim there's a problem and there really isn't a problem, maybe they're hoping that you might give them some money, then apparently having a camera kind of changes all that, because they definitely don't want to be recorded or be identifiable afterwards. So that's a good tip for you. So we got the passport back immediately, and he explained they hadn't stamped it correctly, but yeah, this is not really the problem from what I can, from my point of view. So we then get our suitcases and we have to drag them across this bridge. Now it's probably 100 meters maybe, and as I said, it's like there's like a small footbridge part of it to get across. These people selling huge bags of black potatoes. The potatoes were really black. Now, I grew up in Ireland and I've never seen black potatoes. Maybe it's something that's more common in this part of the world. And it was actually annoying trying to get around them because the foot pedestrian part was so small. It was hard to get our suitcases around. So we get to the other side, and there are, from what I can see, 2 male Ukrainian border guards. Now, I've described my first trip to Ukraine in a previous episode of the Vodcast. This is back in episode 9 when I was accused of being a spy. So this time this was not the case, but something else interesting happened at this border crossing. So my friend, he's beside me, and he leans in to me and he says, "Connor, tell me all the Ukrainian girls look like this border guard." And I only see these 2 dudes, so I'm like, what do you... there's a third one there. There was this pretty girl with the shapka, which I guess if you grew up in the West is kind of iconic. If we think about it from the Cold War, these beautiful Russian or Soviet border guards or police or soldiers with the shapka, Yushchenko. So it's kind of an iconic image. And she's standing there, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much par for the course. I then asked the border guards, where do we get the bus to Vinnytsa? Now, Vinnytsa is a mid-sized town in Ukraine that's between Kiev and the border. It's like in the western part of central Ukraine. And the border guard takes me out, one of the guys, starts chatting to me, why are we here? Apparently, like, we're basically the only Westerners who would show up on this border crossing. It's pretty obscure. And after smoking a cigarette, chatting for 5 minutes, he brings me back, and then just when we're about to take off, he says, "So, your friend, he likes our girl, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. She's the first Ukrainian girl that he's met, and she's amazing, the perfect example of the beauty of Ukrainian women." And he's just really, really amazed. And of course, she was super flattered by all this. I was like to my friend, "Well, if you want to stay in this border town, you're welcome to hang out for the evening here if you want." But he declined, and we got on the bus to go to Vinnytsa. So there you see just the fact that we're unusual. We have a nice little interaction with the border guards. Even my friend got to flirt a little bit. It's just something that if you're traveling on the path less traveled, then these are the kind of things that are more likely to happen than if you're like in, I don't know, Piazza San Marco in Venezia, in Venice, which is a beautiful place. I'm not knocking it, but it's not going to be the same kind of like novelty factor for people there, obviously. But that's another reason to think about just a different experience when traveling, just the warmth of people and the curiosity and these exchanges. So we get on the bus and we go to Vinnytsa. Now, it's Sunday night, and my friend wants to go out, so I say, okay, I know the name of a club here. Let's go and do it. I wasn't super excited. I was pretty exhausted. As I said, having to get on this bus, doing this a crazy trip all the way from Belts to Vinnytsa in one day. I was destroyed, but anyways, I said, okay, that's the nature of this trip. Sleep is for the week. So we go to where the address is. I don't see anything on the street. Everything looks, there's no lights on anywhere. So I'm like, okay, this is odd. There were 2 guys standing in the street, and was it 2 or was it 3? It was 2 or 3 guys, anyways, young guys. And I said, hey, where is Ferele? That was the name of the club in Vinnytsa that I'd heard about. So they told me, actually, it's not open on a Sunday. It's there, but it's not open. So we start talking to these guys. One of them spoke a tiny bit of English. He wanted to kind of enthusiastic to practice it. And obviously then I communicated in Russian and interpreted for my friend. One of the guy who was trying to speak to us a little bit in English tells us, hey, I have this girlfriend coming. She's super tall, really long legs, beautiful girl. We're going to go and we're going to party at a sauna. Do you guys want to come? And I have this split second in which to think about it and process it. And assess these guys and their promise of a girl coming, one of their girlfriends, and it being a sauna party, and us knowing nothing about Vinica. And I was like, hell yeah, we're gonna go and hit the sauna party. So because we didn't really have any other option for it, I could see if we wanted to do something. So, and I didn't, and looking at the guys and the interaction, I said, these guys are not criminals. They're not, there's no danger coming from them. They're just really enthusiastic to meet some Westerners who have come here to their town, which is really unusual. Like, there aren't so many tourists who would go to Vinica. So there was a little bit of a lull in the conversation, which was we agreed. I was wondering, is this such a good idea? We got into taxi. Their girlfriend did come. She was tall, she did have long legs, she was very pretty. So I was like, okay, all good so far. So we pick up some alcohol and some snacks, and we get in a taxi with these guys. And, you know, we're driving for 20 minutes. And Vinica is not a big place. So I'm like, we're on the outskirts of Vinica with all these communist high-rises, right? Which is most of the city. Most cities, right, in the former Soviet Union to a great extent. So we're like driving up. My friend is like, are you sure it's a good idea? We haven't just been, you know, kidnapped or something. I'm like, well, they say the sauna's out here. So we get to this like building in a housing estate, and the sauna is actually in the bottom floor. So it's in a normal building in a residential area. So we go into it, and turned out that they were all working at the same restaurant, and they'd had a kind of just a party all amongst themselves. So we get in, there's like maybe, I don't know, 6 girls, maybe another 2 guys, maybe 7 girls or something like that, and us too. So obviously everybody is super excited with the new guests who have been brought to the party, and we proceed to start, you know, toasting as you do in Ukraine. It's not like you just say cheers or budmo, or you have to give a little bit of a speech. So they're toasting to the new friendship, toasting to Ukraine, I don't know. And my friend, he doesn't drink alcohol, and that's normally fine. I just drink his alcohol if he's ordered some, being an Irishman, you know, by birth. And the only issue is at a Ukrainian sauna party. Like, to explain the context, like there's a sauna, obviously a sauna complex with several rooms. There's like a swimming pool, and then there's an entertainment room, and they've rented it for the evening. And but trying to like keep up with a bunch of enthusiastic Ukrainian young people drinking is hard enough, but trying to do it and then having to drink my buddy's alcohol at the same time, not a very good idea. Don't recommend. That's probably a big lesson for you. Don't drink twice as much at twice the pace as Ukrainians. So basically I'm knocking back my drink and then taking his, knocking back his. After a while, you know, I said, I can't keep this up. I think I've had 6 shots by 2 in the last hour. Like, I'm gonna be dead. You're gonna have to bring me to the hospital eventually, like, if I keep going like this, so we're gonna have to stop. Like, I just can't, you're just gonna have to leave your drink on the table or something anymore. I can't keep drinking it. So next shot comes, next round, toast it, knock it down, boom. My friend just puts the lips, puts it down again, and they all look at me and they say, someone's not drinking. It's you. It's me, the guy who just drank 13 shots of alcohol. Fuck. So, of course, to prove that I was actually drinking, I had to knock back his one. Then they poured another 2. And basically, I had to knock back another 2 again. So I think at this stage, we're up to like 16 shots of alcohol. So, you know, it takes a while for that to hit you. But fortunately, the sauna, I guess you sweat it out or something. I'm not really sure. But we start messing around in the sauna. Of course, there's guys and girls. We're not naked. To be clear, for those of you who are from maybe Western Europe, like Germany, where everyone's naked in a sauna, in a public sauna as well. In Ukraine, people, well, at least when I went, they actually wear their kind of swimwear. So they're not completely naked, but of course, they're guys and girls, young. We start making out. I started making out with the pretty girl, that one who was tall, whatever. And my friend also was talking to a girl there, trying to create some nice rapport, but it's really hard because he doesn't speak Russian. And she tells me at one stage, I like your friend, but I don't speak, you know, I only speak Russian, Ukrainian, and just a couple of words English and Arabic. And I was like, you speak Arabic? And she's like, yeah, but I don't want to talk about it. And my friend actually does speak Arabic as well. So I was like, Habibi, like, El Arabi, El Arabi. And he looks at me like this. I said, just speak to her in bloody Arabic. We had spoken to each other at times in Spanish because it's kind of like a cryptolect, which means like a secret language. You want to say something and you don't want people beside you to understand, and another foreign language that you have in common, because obviously English is more international, so people might understand you, but what we do is a lot of time between us we'll just speak in Spanish. So anyways, he starts speaking in Spanish, boom, works out perfectly. He managed to meet this girl who actually spoke pretty good Arabic, so they were actually able to communicate finally, which obviously facilitated them hooking up together at the sauna party. So this is pretty decadent, as you can imagine. If you remember, we're on the street at 11 p.m. on a Sunday with a closed club in front of us, and then suddenly we're at the sauna party with pretty girls, really good rapport with the guys, everything's going like amazingly. So at one stage I pick up this tall girl and I go to the pool part and I go to throw her into the pool before me, and I slipped. Now the edge of the pool had this kind of like, it was in marble, had this kind of, like, how do you call this in architecture, but kind of a lump. So as I'm going to throw her in, I slip and my leg lands bang right on that marble lump on the edge of the pool, and I'm just like, of course I fall in like head first afterwards with her. I just feel this pain even though I'm pretty drunk from all the vodka I've drank, and I'm like, damn, I don't know, is my leg broken or something? Because I look down, there's blood everywhere, even though obviously I'm in a pool, so it's been washed away, and it feels really sore. I'm saying this is not the kind of situation where when I go to a hospital. I look up and there's this guy looking at me, not very happy. So anyways, it turns out he's the chef in the restaurant, and he's shown up late, and I had the impression he might have had something or liked this girl, and then wasn't very happy to show up at the party late and find her obviously arm in arm with this other dude. So he looks at me very aggressively. I'm in pain from my leg. Anyways, we all go to his place, don't know why, for an after party. At which stage, like, apparently the guy was from somewhere like Dagestan, somewhere in the North Caucasus, if I remember. Anyways, we had a little bit of a confrontation, but like quite often with people from this region, we had a shot of vodka together, and then we were best buddies, smoked some shisha, and everything went really well. The party went on till 10 a.m. in the morning, and then we kind of crawled home. So that was what happens when you start out on a Sunday, 11 p.m., closed club, and you just start talking to people, and you're able to make the correct assessment on whether to trust people or not to trust people, and that comes with just intuition a lot of the time, or previous reference experiences, and judging whether someone's a threat or not, whether they're genuine. And then suddenly you're at this crazy party until 10 a.m. Sauna, girls, alcohol, amazing memories. I have the amazing memory because I actually have a scar on my leg as a result of falling into the pool that time. So I get to remember that evening every morning, more or less, when I wake up and I actually look at my leg. I have a small scar. So the lesson for you guys from this is like, yes, you should be open to new experiences, and obviously when you meet people, but always make that assessment on whether the people are genuine, whether they're going to scam you, maybe they're going to kidnap you. Often happen in other countries. In episode 9, I described when I did have problems, when I didn't trust the right people, and all these things happened. Someone tried to steal my phone. I got drugged for 36 hours. Go back and watch those episodes for sure. In episode 9 of the Vodka Podcast, and you get to see how I've developed and how I've kind of developed this sense about who you can trust and who you can't. And that's just what it leads to. These are just amazing memories. So the next day we did go out again. We went to a club that was like for staff, basically a staff party, because it was a Monday. So you might think a small town Monday. So anything going to be going on? That was our impression, our impression before we went out that night. And actually, the city was all quiet. Went to the club that was recommended. Nothing going on around midnight. Came back at 1 o'clock, packed, absolutely packed, because that's what it is. It's where the staff who normally work during the week, they go there and they let loose on a Monday. And we got the best table in the club, which is a little bit more elevated, facing the dance floor, and we just had an amazing evening. My friend actually paid the bill in the club, I think to compensate for getting me so drunk the night before. But anyways, we had just like, obviously alcohol there the whole time, met lots of local girls, brought them there. The club actually was 70% female. Which is a good thing to explain to you guys. Like, probably you go out and maybe you're from the US, maybe from Western Europe, and inevitably it's always going to be more guys than girls in the club, which doesn't set up a very good dynamic for you. Just the whole atmosphere, there are too many guys, testosterone, they're annoying the girls, there's less girls than guys, so it's not obviously a target-rich environment for meeting women, but this was, and we still joke about just how incredible the ratio was there. It was like 70% girls, young, beautiful, and my friend paid the bill, and I think we just went through I don't know how many bottles of Champanskaya throughout the evening, probably 5 or 6, a few cocktails. The whole bill, somewhere like $45 like 40 euros. That's really all we spent between us, between us as a group, because we made about 5 or 6 new friends over the evening, and that's another thing to bear in mind. We still talk about Vinica on a Monday night because of that, because of the ratio and the price, and that's what you get when you travel, right? To this part of Europe, and you find places that are not as well traveled, where you can be, more of a novelty, that you're open to new experiences, and you just get, these kind of just amazing experiences, and like really local experiences. That's really traveling. That's really getting to know the local culture. Not being in a touristic resort. I mean, Odessa is an amazing city, but it is very touristic. Like if you went to Arcadia here, forget it. You're not a novelty. It's not that cheap, and the ratio is not 70% girls. It's going to be 70% guys, if not even worse. So this is kind of the message to you. The big message from this video is like, go travel where people don't normally travel, and you will have a rewarding experience. It's not going to be as easy. It's not going to be as comfortable. I had to sit on a Marshuka, a terrible, I had to sit on a bus in the worst roads in Europe, probably close to that. We had issues with the border guards, but you learn how to deal with these things through reference experiences and just being more streetwise. So I want you to take that message out of this video. If you have been to the cities on this itinerary and you had a similar experience, a very different experience, maybe you've also gone somewhere less traveled, less touristic, and just had amazing experiences with the local people and welcoming you, like what happens in Moldova in the previous episode, also here in Western Ukraine. Like, drop a comment below, write a comment there below the video. You're not just talking to me. I do read all the intelligent comments, and I try my best to respond to you all, even if that's difficult at times because of the number of them. But you're also helping the other guys in this community that we're developing, who are really passionate, interested about traveling to Eastern Europe. You're sharing your experiences, and they can also help you maybe by replying to your comments. So definitely go and do that. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, then of course you have that red subscribe button, and make sure that you whack the notification bell beside it, because that's how you get notified of these Vodka Vodcast episodes, as well as my other videos. I have the Tip Thursday that comes out on most Thursdays, and then I have my travel vlogs, or just other videos that you're going to see. And at the moment, I've been focusing for the last almost year, I guess. No, I've been focusing for the last 8-9 months on Eastern Europe, the real raw east of Europe. And it's just been amazing. Again today in Odessa, 2 young American guys came up to me. They said, hey, we love your videos. It really helped us when we were traveling. The guys have been here actually for an extended trip. They told me 9 months. They had been to Lviv, Kharkiv, as well as Odessa and Kiev, and they told me that they really appreciated the videos, and that's the kind of stuff that really makes me motivated to keep going and keep developing, delivering the value in these videos. So until next week and the next story in this series, because now we're going to be heading to Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, on the next leg. And it's just after Euromaidan, the revolution. It's probably April, if I remember, 2014. And you're going to get a small taste of what it was like to be there after the revolution. I will have another Vodcast episode about actually what it's like to be on the square, because I was there twice during the revolution, give you a little bit of a taste of what it was like to be there during a major European political event. Have a great afternoon if you're watching it in the same time zone as I am at the moment. Otherwise, have a fantastic evening, good morning, and I will see you in all your smiling, enthusiastic faces for this part of the world in the next video. Do svidaniya.
SAR Experience.